John was working in his science lab, got blasted by gamma rays. Now he's Smash Trivia John, always smashing. He's friends with Ruffalo, crushing on Maslany, and also Sydney Sweeney. John's here saying, hello my gamma friends, welcome to the show, the Gamma Analysis Podcast.
Smash.
Hello, my Gamma friends. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, I'm going to review everything Hulk. All the movies, the TV shows, and I also do random other geeky films. Hope you enjoy Smash Trivia Presents the Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening if they please do sign for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. Now let's smash right into this episode. Today, as we start the spooky season, my first review for October is Return of the Living Dead, and I got Keith with me for this. So how you doing, Keith?
I'm doing good, John. I like how your first things out of your mouth was "Hello, my Gamma friends," and it was like a little song. Yeah, I was like, "Damn, well, there's your theme song." Start every episode like that. I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this movie. After watching it the other night, I don't know that I've seen this movie all the way through because I was like, "Wow, I don't remember that. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
I really enjoyed watching this, it was the first time I had ever watched it. Too. So it was really fun. One thing I will say, going into this, I was expecting, just because of the poster, I was expecting these very stereotypically green zombies. That is not what we get at all.
No, and it's weird because I thought when I was a kid watching any of these, like whether it be the Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, any of those other ones, as well as Return of the Living Dead, I thought for sure that Return of the Living Dead was the more like colorful, more silly, kind of goofy version of these movies. But no, you watch like the original Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead, and those zombies are blue and green and all sorts of really weird, chalky, funny colors. And but dead serious. Like those movies are serious.
Yeah.
And then this one, it's like, yeah, the zombies don't look perfect. The animatronic ones do. I love some of the makeup and stuff, but
there was definitely a lot of cool makeup for them. I was a little disappointed that they weren't green, but it's all right because I had a lot of fun with the film anyway. Because I think there's some really cool stuff that they do with this film.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that zombies ever are like brains. Like this was the film where that started, and I think they do it in such a cool way because they kind of make you feel bad for the zombies.
Yeah. To have the whole thing, the whole zombie movie, like you ask a casual viewer of horror or zombie movies and stuff, you would assume that they just go, oh, a zombie, they usually say brains, right? It's like, no. Just in this one, pretty much just in this movie,
I think it has
sentences. Like
I think that it has since this film become a big thing for zombie films, but this was like what started that and I think this actually does it better than a lot of films just because they used it in a way to make you feel bad for them because they said that they feel pain, and the brains is the only thing that relieves their pain.
And it's the idea too of the entire movie. No one turns because they're bitten. No one turns because they're scratched or something. It's not an infection kind of way of doing things. It's just you got the airborne gas in your face, or you die during the epidemic, and then you become a zombie. But showing those two guys, that was my favorite part. As a kid, as a teen, I might have loved the punks a little bit more. Obviously, hormones are raging. But when you go back to the guys stuck in the mortuary and you see what's going on with Ernie, and is the other guy's name Bert?
I think so.
Oh my God, Bert and Ernie are in this movie. And then you've got the two guys, Frank and Freddie, who got gassed in the face right away. I loved that whole side of the story. It was my favorite part.
Yeah. I love that you can't kill these zombies. There is no actual way to stop this zombie threat, because even if you kill them and like burning them up, it just creates more. Like, I think that's such a cool concept.
Yeah, and going in, I thought that being more of a fan of the traditional kind of, you kill the brain or behead them. I thought I was going to be more of a purist, but I relaxed. I checked this movie out, and I did not hate that it was different than anything I'd seen before. And it made a lot of sense when I'd seen zombie movies since then. But the biggest surprise to me is I didn't remember that this was basically a comedy, because I was sitting there laughing at a lot of fucking lines. Like, even in the first scene, the guy goes, "These things don't leak, do they? Leak? Hell no. These were made by the U.S. Army Corps, the engineers." And then immediately it breaks. Like, oh fuck! Like, that was I was bawling laughing.
I loved how they also said a typical military fuck up, which is which, like, from everything I've heard from my brother who's in the military, that is a very common thing.
I love the colonel that's supposed to deal with the problem, and like, I had a feeling at the beginning that that's what his supercomputer and his little cabinet, like China hutch, was supposed to be able to do. But I was also sitting there going, like, this guy is reacting, like, especially that scene where he's on the phone hearing all the details, and he's like, I see. It's just hilarious. You can imagine the entire plot of the movie is being explained to this guy in a panicked voice, and this guy, and he doesn't bat an eye. He doesn't seem concerned at all.
Like, that character was really interesting. I was like, at first, as I was watching the film a second time today, I was like, with how small of a character this guy is in the film, it's surprising that they made the point to have him be angry towards his wife. Like, I thought that was interesting. I'm like, if he had a bigger role in the film, I wouldn't have been surprised by that. But with how small of a role, I think that's interesting, just because it gives him this depth, which you wouldn't expect from such a small role.
100%. And the thing, that the joy I find in picking apart horror movies, even the goofy ones from like this, is most horror and sci-fi genre movies, especially from this time, they usually have some kind of commentary, some kind of statement they're trying to make about the world. And the statement that this one makes about the military is hilarious to me. That they're just like, yeah, they fuck up and they don't give a shit about you. They're going to take you out your whole damn town with a bomb.
Yeah, and then in the situation of this, he's gonna backfire on them so badly.
He's like, yeah, the some people have had reports about some burning rain, but I think it's okay. I think we contained it.
I'm like, the fact that they had that ending really makes me excited to watch the sequels to this, because I think that'll be I think that it would have been a massive missed opportunity if they hadn't made sequels after having that ending, because it'll be very interesting seeing how all of a sudden people are like, wait, there's a lot more zombies now. I thought this was going to fix things, and makes you wonder if when will they actually realize that it is this vapor so you can't just burn them.
Yeah, seriously. And I love that the even the color context cues that you get from, like, the first cadaver that comes back to life, and he is bright piss yellow, and then like a greenish kind of yellow, and then And then the smoke is also that kind of yellow green. It's like, oh, okay, so this is clearly how this is spreading. It was a clever way of doing it.
I
I also
like how even if you chop up the zombies, each part of them stays alive.
yeah.
A lot of times with zombie movies, at least what I've seen, if you cut off a piece, then that piece is dead. That piece is no longer moving. But I kind of like that they're still moving with this, and I kind of think it makes him feel even more dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. Like these things were nonstop, and the fact that they can talk, that they can get on the
Yeah.
radio and ask dispatch to send more
I
paramedics and then
love
more
that.
cops.
I loved that so much that they basically created themselves their own restaurant on paramedics and
Oh, God.
cops to come eat.
There were some points that like I was really appreciating the what must have been pretty cheap special effects but clever use of them. Like the one when they nail down that first, they use a pickaxe to stick a pickaxe in the first cadaver and stick its head to the ground, the cement ground. The head is still a real person, and because the legs are kicking, but the pickaxe is very subtly hidden behind something, so you can't see that it's a fake chopped off kind of pickaxe at the tip, and it's just suspended there with something else. There's something in the foreground blocking that, so you're not really looking for that, but it's like I just appreciated little subtle things like
definitely.
that. Yeah.
There's just there's like you know I know that that I kind of like the like how there's this difference between you and I where you lean towards this or it's like the original Night of the Living Dead where it's this really serious thing versus I'm like I just love the comedic one, like one so much like more like like for me a comedy is easily my favorite genre of things and I thought and this was something that I just absolutely loved it. Loved it. Mixed so many things I like with like horror, comedy, sex. Like I like it was just like it was so much fun on to watch.
Well, it's funny because when at the time when I saw that Zombieland was coming out back when I think it was 2010 or 2008 or something like that, I was like, oh yeah, I guess there hasn't been really that many comedy zombie movies out there, but it's like this one really was a first run at making it a comedy, and
yeah,
I think there's room in the genre for both. I'm a
definitely.
big fan.
I just think it's cool the difference between us for that. Since you lean more towards the serious zombie films, whereas I'm like, give me all the comedy.
Yeah. And I'm glad that there is both out there. That's what's so fun about the zombie craze. It will come back again. It's you know had its big
apparently there
with
is
Walking Dead, but it will return.
Apparently there is in development a Return of the Living Dead reboot, which it's interesting. Like I hope if they do that, they don't tone down anything. Like like this is like as I said, I've really enjoyed like the sex and nudity in this. Keep that, keep that in like I don't think that every film nowadays needs to be toned down versus how things used to be when it comes to sex and nudity. And this was just like this was really fun nudity. I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It was. I thought it was so bizarre that that character was wanting to be ripped apart, and then when she does like bite the bullet and die, she doesn't get ripped apart. She's fully intact, and she's somehow this pale ghost demon. Like her makeup is entirely different. She looks like Zool from Ghostbusters. It's so bizarre. But what isn't bizarre in this fucking movie? It's a blast. It's an absolute balls to the walls goofball movie, which I love. I love that there's parts that I know were not made for laughs, but I was still howling. And like when I think it's Bert and Spider, I think they get away in the car and they're driving down the street, driving out of they blast out of the cemetery gate, and then there's this mob of zombies running at the car out of the darkness, and you barely see them. They're still silhouettes, but they're all with their arms over their heads and like running happily, like they look like teens running into a concert or something, like running to go chase their favorite band. They just look so excited, and I was pissing myself laughing.
Oh, since there is reboot or remake, I actually like when I was first watching this last week. I like while watching, I was thinking these would be different people who would be great for the to cast as the different characters that there's in the reboot. I came up with two of them, and they are Bert, the owner of the cadaver facility. I think would be great to have Ben Mendelsohn and be him.
Ooh, yes, good choice.
And then the other that I came up with is the mortician, and I think that might have been in Ernie. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So you cast Bert and Ernie.
So I think for him, Michael Sheen would be great.
Michael Sheen, yes, yeah, good choice on both. Honestly,
I was just like immediately when I saw the mortician, I was like, he kind of looks like Michael Sheen. He's definitely not because because this is 1980 and Michael Sheen would definitely not look like that in 1980 if it. I don't even know if he was alive at that point or not, but
he's probably a kid at the time. Yeah, the guy playing Ernie was, I think easily the best actor of the movie. I was loving every scene that he was in, and also when he gets involved and he starts casually talking about how rigor mortis works and how you can stop it from happening. I love how that fit into the story later, and they start just cracking and bending Freddy to try and stop the rigor mortis, and he's like screaming bloody murder while you hear these giant cracks. And it's like, did they know that there was going to be a TikTok sensation of guys playing with medical skeletons and cracking them like chiropractors? Because this is the first one. This is the first instance. Yeah.
Something that I found really interesting with this that I never thought about before watching this film is I never thought about the fact that there has to be facilities for where these cadavers would be before they're sent to schools and the military or the government or whatever. Mm-hmm. I never thought about that. It's like, yeah, I guess they would. Though if I did a little strange, they're selling the bodies and not since if I donate my body to science, I would not want someone profiting off of it.
Yeah, that would be strange. That would be strange to find out after you're dead that your body was profiting.
Then again, I'm not sure this is a world where people donate their bodies to science, since they said that the bodies only come from India.
With those perfect chompers. I also my biggest delight of this movie was the fact that when Frank and Freddy are turning in the chapel and then Freddy busts out, Frank runs away. And two things are known about Frank really beforehand, other than the fact that he screams all the time and he's hilarious. One, you know that he's married. Two, you know that he thinks anybody can operate that oven and furnace. So the fact that he does not want to become the monster.
I mean, is he wrong? He was able to do it pretty easily.
Yeah, I was howling.
I thought that was really interesting. The fact that he didn't go absolutely crazy when he became a zombie. He just decided, no, I'm leaving on my own terms.
Yeah, he kept his faculties about him long enough to stop himself from becoming the monster that he'd been witnessing all day.
Which surprised me, because it kind of seemed at different moments throughout the film like his progression into becoming a zombie was faster than the kid kid's
Yeah.
one. And it
Yeah.
kind of seemed to me like it was quicker for him, where he was looking much worse as just the scenes went on. But then somehow it ended up being that the kid was so much more or crazy and wanting the brains.
Well, I mean, you got to remember though, this kid is a angry punk, full of hormones kid, and Frank is clearly a well-established businessman who can keep his
I
faculties about
love the fact that Frank, he's like, when his boss is not around, he tries to put on this like very serious attitude, and this like and when the kid yells at him, I'm pretty sure like he called him motherfucker, so and he's like, watch your tone if you want to keep a job here. And then immediately when his boss comes, he's just reverts to being super scared. I love that because I feel like that is like kind of the case with a lot of people in real life. They'll put up front when they're supposed to act like the boss, but then
Yeah.
and once their boss comes in, they're just they're just is very willing to get into the pack act of people freaking out.
Yeah, the power dynamics of working at the medical equipment factory or whatever it's called. Yeah. I also love the fact that line you just said, how he's like, you watch your tongue if you want to keep this job. And he's like, keep this job. Like, it hasn't already been very clear that no one should want this job.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting as I was watching. They never actually confirmed that this was the case, but this is just my guess for how this thing works to turn people into zombies. I think it has to infect your flesh. The reason I say that is because because at the cadaver place, there are not only full bodies, there are just skeletons that are there, and the skeletons did not come alive.
True. I was wondering about that too when they revert back to that. I think Tina ran into the facility and you see the skeletons again, and I thought for sure something was gonna pop up, but it was just that main one that came out of the little barrel.
Yeah, they did have some skeletons that became zombies throughout the film, but the difference was that those skeletons still had a little bit of flesh on them. I noticed. So I think it was the flesh. You have to at least have some flesh if they're gonna infect you.
Fascinating. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, awesome. I think that shows a lot of attention to detail with the film.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that such attention and detail in the film. Trying to think, what else? Also, I would say, I think so. Of the kids, is I think my favorite character would either be Trash for obvious reasons, or I don't remember what his name was, but the black guy, I thought Spider was very funny.
Yeah, I loved how angry Spider was. He got like his role was to swear the most. I thought that was really funny. But also when the guy goes, he goes, "Come on, let's rush to that cop car. I'll drive." And then Bert just turns dramatically and says, "No, I'll drive." And he goes, "Hey, fuck you, man." Like, it's just like instantly so mad about not being trusted to drive. Like, there's bigger fish, Spider. You don't have to be so mad. It's just he was constantly swearing. He was like, "We gotta get the fuck out of here."
Oh yeah.
Every 5 seconds. I also love the subtlety of like some of the lines that Ernie got, where there was all the mayhem happening outside with all the graves coming to life and all the punks running away and banging on doors. But then it cuts back to Ernie talking to the other three guys, and he's just like, "Frankly, Bert, I think you acted very precipitously by cutting up the corpse." It's just like just like the fact that they're just able to cut back to
mean-
such being so dry and calm after the screaming and the acid rain.
I mean, I think that Ernie is right. All right, they didn't need to cut up the corpse all so much.
Yeah, yeah, it's too much, and the fact that he tried to pass it
that's
off as
great.
rabies riddled weasels.
Yeah, and, the character who was the driver or the punk kids.
Yeah, I think his name was
I thought
Suicide.
I I really liked the one line this one line from him where he said, "Do you think that this is just a costume?" And what he's wearing because something a lot of people don't realize is when people are punk or they are goth, that's not just a look. That is actually a whole personality. Like,
Yeah, they're making a statement.
yes,
It's counter.
it's a political statement. Really, like with Spider Punk in Across the Spider Verse, the whole point of someone being punk is they're anti-establishment, and I think that's and I think it's really cool that they made a point to say that in this because I think there's a lot of people who don't realize that it's more than just a clothes style.
Well, I mean, think about the commentary on the military in this movie. The anti-establishment stuff is right there. Not only did the military create this problem and leave it in the hands of unsuspecting people, but they also tried to solve it by just killing everything in sight instead of, I don't know, fixing it to begin with or never creating the chemical to begin with.
I would honestly say this does feel like, for the 80s, is a very left-leaning film. Which is kind of surprising for a film from the 80s, but I think it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean that's what's fun about seeing the genre before it was huge, because you like there were some big mainstream horror movies in the 80s, but the majority of horror movies, and just as today, like it is really a subculture, like it's a subculture thing where they get to say the things about society, they get to say the things about the world that we live in, that mainstream movies won't. And that's what makes the horror genre so fun. Same as the sci-fi genre. They both have a message. The metaphor is always very thick.
I agree about that, but also at the same time, I do think that horror movies deserve more respect than they get.
Agree.
Like it's like they should be considered mainstream, but for some reason they're not. I think there are some horror movies out there that absolutely deserve to have be contenders for something like the Oscars, but they don't get that recognition because just like with superhero films, the film snobs don't respect them.
Well, and that's the thing too, though. Should they get that same chance at the Oscars, or would them even being considered for the Oscars make them diluted and mainstream and everything that they hate, everything that they're trying to avoid? Because if you get those Fringe Film Festival awards, I bet the people who make those movies that's what they're aiming for. They're like, I don't want to be palatable for the mainstream moviegoer, because then I'm just like everyone else. It's punk. It's punk, man.
Yeah, it's like I can definitely understand that. I just like wish they got more respect and people didn't look down on them, because I think there are a lot of people who look down on horror movies as if they can't have a good message in them, or they can't be something that people care a lot about.
Well, the culture shift that we're seeing in the last 10, 15 years, where horror movies are becoming more being a little bit more high concept. I can't remember the term that's thrown around, which I really should know, but I feel like it's so goofy of a term. But it's like the idea of these slow burn, more intellectual horror movies like Midsommar or Hereditary or The Witch or something like that, where the the art behind it is incredibly invested, incredibly authentic, but at the same time, they still don't get nominated for big
No, they don't.
awards.
They don't.
'Cause it's,
Like I think though also there is something to be said about out people thinking something is only meaningful if it is that elevated dramatic kind of film, whether it's horror or something else. Like they'll act like it's not something aimed at we should take seriously because it's not one of those. And it's like, no, there are some pretty damn good messages and things that are just fun as well.
Yeah, it's funny the like, and I'm sure I've brought it up before on the podcast, but the Facebook groups that I'm in that are about horror movie fans, they can never agree on stuff. It's so funny. Every time someone, I feel like every week there is a post asking, "What did you guys think of Midsommar?" And it's so polarizing. There are people who say it's their favorite movie, and there's a bunch of people who said it was too boring. They couldn't get interested in it. They don't care. Not enough gore, not enough, not enough excitement happening. And I think it's everybody's right to approach movie watching in their own way, and sometimes it's not for them, sometimes it is. I love both. There are moods that I'm in where I want to see something that just turns a certain part of my brain off and another part of my brain on, and I'm just watching something exciting and silly. And there's other other times when I want to sit down, focus, and analyze something, and then I don't need it to be gory every 5 seconds. It's really just dependent on the mood. People are rainbows.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And that's honestly like a big problem with streaming services is they their algorithms tell you what they think you want to watch based on what you watch most often, but people are more complicated than that. They want on different kinds of stuffs at different times, which is one of the things like I miss about just going to video stores when I was younger. Is like instead of having this curated thing where it's an algorithm just deciding, oh, you watch this or like this. Instead, it's you go in there. You could go up to you could either just search around if you like, or you could go up to an employee and be like, hey, I'm feeling like watching a rom-com tonight. What would you suggest? And they would suggest something based on what you just said, not based on what you previously watched.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar to the echo chambers that we get stuck in with using something like social media. Like, you basically just, the algorithm is set for you to hear from the people that you liked their stuff the most or commented on the most, and you don't really see too many of the people you interact with less and less. And that same thing happens with movies or streaming services, where you watch a certain couple of things enough times and then it just tells you what you would want. And it's like, I don't, like you said, people are more complicated than that. It's my wife and I started actually going back and checking out cable television, just regular television with commercials and shit. And I played a game with her last night where we just picked a channel at random and tried 5 minutes of whatever was on. I watched 5 minutes of The Real Housewives of Utah last night. I have no idea what was going on. I don't know why they were having a refreshment party where they were trying to bury drama that apparently 17 different friends have had with each other. I have no clue, but I watched 5 minutes of it, and now I feel enlightened about a certain part of the world that watches that show. It's there's ways to break out of those bubbles, because if you're just talking to the same 5 people, you'll never get to know the other billion that are out there.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure I actually have the numbers on that right.
I think also people need to break out of just going with the popular streaming services that they pay for.
Yeah.
Something that I've done a lot recently is a lot of times if I'm looking for just watch a random movie to watch tonight, I don't go to Disney Plus or Netflix or something like that. I go to Tubi because Tubi is a free streaming service, and it has some of the weirdest shit you can possible. and I love that it's
Yeah.
that you can just find some the most random thing, and you might end up falling in love with it.
Yeah, there's a certain comfort level when the decision is kind of out of your hands as well. And I know tons of people since Netflix first came out would joke about, oh, I spend more time looking for something to watch on Netflix than I do actually watching something. And that can happen because you're having to decide, and it's like after a long day you come home and you sometimes just want the TV to tell you what to watch, and you
Yeah.
just stick with whatever's on, and then the decision making is no longer in your hands, and there's something comforting about that. But to each their own, and
Oh
don't have to
yeah.
do that all the time. But Tubi is amazing. Tubi and Pluto TV. I
Oh
started
yeah.
checking that out, and I think my wife and I started watching Cash Cab on Tubi for a
Nice.
couple of hours. That was awesome.
It's been a long time since I watched Cash Cab.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh yeah. I think, is there anything else we should talk about with this movie? Um, I
What did you
think
think was going? What did you think Ernie was doing with Tina in the attic of the mortuary? And he had the gun. Do you think that he was going to kill her and throw her down to Freddy to escape? Or was he trying to be noble and put both of them out of their misery, or at least her out of her misery before she was torn apart?
I'm not sure. I feel like it could have gone either way. Um, I think I might lean more towards putting them each other out of their misery, just because he definitely does feel like he's a character who does have some morals,
Mhm.
particularly because of his line about how he's like, it would be inhumane to burn alive animals
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Very
that.
true.
So I think he probably would lean more towards or just putting each other out of the misery. The I I okay. One thing I got asked is, was this just the place I watched it, or is this just a part of the film? When the zombie he actually breaks up into the attic, does it freeze frame, or was that just a mistake on the place that I watched it?
Well, to me, the part where Freddy's like gonna get into the attic happens. It's like all these things are happening at once,
Mm-hmm.
and the bomb hits at the same time, so everything goes white, right?
Well,
So I think that was supposed to be the freeze frame.
freeze framed right a little bit before things went white. I for that, and then it just cut to another scene. And as the bomb dropped.
Okay.
So I don't know whether it was like it's just a mistake, or if it was just or not a mistake, but like a mess up with the site that I was watching it, or if that was like meant to be something like we're not supposed to see exactly what happened to them.
I think that was an intentional thing in
Okay.
the movie because the version I watched of as well had that, and I
Mm-hmm.
think the freeze frame in general is something that's kind of gone away. We don't see very much anymore, but in
Yeah.
the '80s, I mean, there was a song called
Oh
Freeze
yeah.
Frame,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it must have been popular.
And all, that was, I think it really is so hilarious that they just bombed the entire area, not realizing that that's just gonna create more zombies.
Yeah, what was the count? I think it was like
They
they had
said that,
16 blocks and it was 4,000 dead or
yeah,
something.
like they're like there was only 4,000 dead. Why are you saying only? Like, oh my god.
Because in the grand scheme of things, that's not so bad. That's the way they think of it. Yeah. I love that there were certain parts where, and I love this about most lower budget um horror movies usually, but um
No,
there were parts where
my
there was music with lyrics playing full volume over scenes with full dialogue. I was just like, wait, am I supposed to be
oh
hearing what
man.
they're saying? Because I don't hear it. But it was just kind of the thing of the times. Like they probably just went like, oh, this could be just considered a montage, but they didn't drop the volume of the characters.
Oh, you know, no. One final thing I would like to talk about with you,
Yeah.
I've been talking with a lot of people about recently is because there have been like surveys done trying to say that people of the younger generation don't want on sex and nudity in movies.
Hmm.
Like what is your position on that? For me, I think they should absolutely should should, and it doesn't need to be necessary for a story. It can just be fun because
Yeah.
it's a natural thing. Being attracted to people.
Of course.
I think to me the only two deciders for whether there should be in a film is one, whether it is a kids movie or not. If it's a
Of
kids movie,
course.
obviously not.
Yeah.
Though I will say I find it very very strange that the survey that I saw said that they started the survey with talking to 10-year-olds. Like, why the fuck are you asking 10-year-olds about sex and nudity in movies?
That is bizarre.
But
Makes me wonder
I'll
who ran
digress.
this survey.
Uh, and also if the actors and actresses are comfortable with it. There
Yeah.
must be intimacy coordinators on every set.
Hmm.
What is your feeling about it?
I think that you're right about there being coordinators for sure. I think that the kind of vibe or the feel that comes with nudity in a movie or a TV show, a lot of people probably has left a bad taste in their mouth, especially I think after the Me Too movement, where there is definitely a lot of instances in Hollywood and in showbiz where people feel pressured, even with the people around, to kind of supervise and make sure it's okay and make sure that they're into it and they know what they're agreeing to and everything. I think that there's been so many instances where maybe a career decision, you felt pressured because, what, this is a great opportunity, so I should do it. And then 10 years down the line, the actor admits that they wish they didn't do that and they were being pressured by their agent or their partner or whoever.
Yeah,
And it's just a shame. And I think that there is a bad taste that comes with that. Nudity can be done
I
tastefully and
think
it can be done with entire understanding of what they're getting into, and there's a lot of actors out there that don't give a shit and they're fine with being nude,
I
but
think
it does,
what
I
the
think, have that imagined idea that
no,
that's all the cases, and it's not all of them.
I think there should be like made sure that there's an absolute understanding in it that um if you don't want to do this, that's gonna have no negative effect on your career.
Yeah.
And also I think that they should be able to find a way around doing nudity if someone's not comfortable. Like find a way to do the scene where they're not gonna be having nudity if someone's not comfortable. But like I've seen a lot of people recently saying that they think that it should only be in a film if it's necessary for the story. Which to me, I'm like, I, nudity can just be something that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something as humans we enjoy.
Hmm.
Joy. Why is that something we should shame?
Yeah.
And I don't think we should. And like also people act like it is not feministic to want to be okay with nudity in films. And it's like, no, it's also it is just as feministic to want to support someone who does like being naked in a film as it is to support someone who doesn't.
Yeah, I hear
Like
you.
it's their body. If they want to show it off, they should be able to.
I think you're right, absolutely. I think that the other difficult thing to navigate is that you've heard the phrase sex sells, right? Like there's producers that have wanted there to be nudity in a project because they see that gets them ratings or that gets them ticket sales or whatever. And so as soon as it becomes a commodity for sale, then it becomes all sorts of gross in certain ways, and people behind, wheeling and dealing. The other thing too is everybody has a different relationship with nudity, and some people it makes them really reserved and really not want to see it in film and television. Other people don't like the body type representation that's in movies. Like this person who is in this movie isn't your average body type.
Well, yeah,
she was
obviously.
ridiculously scrawny and everything. It's like that's not me shaming that. It's just that's not everybody. And so some people don't feel comfortable in their own skin, don't feel confident in their own appearance, and they hate seeing that in movies, so they avoid that kind of thing. And that's fine. They can watch what they want to watch, and they can avoid it. But it is a tricky bag of monkeys, basically, to try and navigate what can make it comfortable, where it can be expressed safely, and in a way that is nuanced enough that it's not just about sex selling. For example, Lena Headey. Game of Thrones is a great example for this, because not only did is it Amelia Clark? Not only was she in nude scenes in season 1, but when the show became popular enough, she decided to stop doing it. And she said, I'm not doing it anymore. You can't make this show without me. You're not going to want to do that. I have enough power in this relationship. I'm going to say no. Then you've got Lena Headey in the same show playing Queen Cersei. She had a nude scene, but it wasn't her body. It was a CGI body double. And that's why body doubles exist, right? For those people who don't want to go and do that. And the fact that we're at a place now where it can look that flawless, in the sense that I didn't know that going in. I thought, oh, what the shit, Lena Headey, she's doing this whole like very long scene in season, I think it's like 7, or maybe 6. But it was shocking. But the fact that they had a body double and it looked perfectly normal was incredible. But it's up to the actor, and when it can be up to the actor, and when they have the funding to be able to do it with a CG double, then let them do that. But it's a really weird. It's a hard topic to solve, really.
Yeah, like I do think as well, though, there shouldn't be as much tabooness around it, because I think that it is healthy for people to learn about stuff like that. And I've always felt that watching movies shapes our view of the world around us. And as we keep having it be such a taboo thing, we're going to keep having it that it's hard for people to learn about things like that as they get older.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think they have a certain shame of that kind of expression, like certain form.
If we didn't have so much shame around it, I think it would help people learn. I think it would help people with their body image to feel more okay. I also think that there shouldn't be a double standard between men and women. Like I think if you can show, even in a PG rating, a guy shirtless, it shouldn't be that it has to be R-rated for a female. Like I think that's and then the same with like if a woman wanted to go outside like that, they would get arrested for indecent exposure. But then a male, if they wanted to do it, they wouldn't. And like that's kind of messed up. I think there's this dynamic, and there's also like people who like act like a pair of boobs being out is the same as a dick being out, and it's no, that's absolutely not the case. There is a clear male equivalent to that, and it is absolutely not the dick.
Yeah, I mean, we're set in our ways, and for so long, boobs, for example, have been exploited in ways that make it so that, like I say, the sex sells thing, like that's just the way that people have been trained. So same as the dick being out is like indecent exposure.
I think if we made it feel normal for people to see things like this, it would actually help to make it so that people don't sexualize stuff so much because because it becomes normal to see. You don't
Yeah.
if you just see sign all the time, you're not going to just always feel a certain way about it. You're going to
Yeah.
feel more normal. And also, and then like the final thing that I have to say about it is, I think that nudity should be able to be signed that's in more fun films, more stuff that's like comedic and not just as like lately I normally only see it in films that are very serious and depressing. And I'm
Mhm.
like, why? This makes it really does make it feel like it's something we should have shame for. And it's
Mhm.
like I would rather if I'm gonna see something like that in a film, I want it to be in something that's a fun, welcoming place, and not something that's like this disturbing, very sad thing happening, and it's happening, that's messed up.
Yeah, it's fair. And I mean, it as a form of expression can be used in all those different ways. And it's just the
Well,
cultural
I'm not saying
zeitgeist
that there
that it's,
shouldn't be things that are in more serious films. Just that I think it should also be in fun films and comedies and stuff, and like and treated as something that we can just enjoy sometimes.
yeah. I think that the tendency for it to have been in, like, say, the 90s, when the comedies, the screwball, comedies of the 80s would have nudity in them, and then it became even more so in the 90s. Every other movie was an American Pie movie or something like that, and it was just there'd be a boob in it, and it was always there until we hit a certain point where that almost got associated with like lowbrow or like trashier comedy or broader comedy, and it's like
Yeah,
that's
I don't know
yeah,
why
that's
we decided that that's so low brow. It's like come on, guys. This is just a natural thing that we can just enjoy.
raunchy. It's
Also,
raunchiness,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I've long said raunchy comedy is my favorite thing to watch. It is because I just find Iron sex jokes really funny, and I think well, yes, there are lowbrow ones that can be made. I think there are also a lot of raunchy comedies that are still pretty complex.
Yes, 100%. 100%. But the stigma just comes from
Mhm.
there being so many of them, and then people group them all together, and they don't watch any of the more complex ones. They don't know
Yeah.
that they're out there. They just go, "Oh, I saw a bad one," and then the whole thing's not for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it does make me happy to see that I think raunchy comedies are making a bit of a return. Like last year, we had both old Note Hard Feelings things, and we also had Anyone But You, who among others, like there was also Joyride last year. I didn't end up seeing that one, but like I think it's coming back, and I think that we're having as things go on. Happily, it kind of seems to me like when we do have them, they are being made more by women,
Mhm.
so that even if there is sign that's a sign that is sexualizing, that is nudity, they are obviously making sure that that they are comfortable, that they want to do this because
Yeah.
because they're not weirdo guys as making it.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly. Talk about the double standard.
I love seeing a raunchy comedies being made by a woman because that's
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
when it's when that happens, it's going to be sign that you're still able to have fun watching it, but it's going to be a respectful thing.
Well, it's going to be a whole new
Mhm.
perspective on it too,
Oh
on
yeah.
sex, on gender, on everything, and
Like,
that's kind of the fun of it, right? The
mhm.
double standard, like people my age will hoot and holler and laugh and be so excited when they hear that this new movie features a penis, and it's like woohoo, because it's been so long the other way, where it was the women's body that was exploited and not a whole lot of men out there. And yeah, there's the like legal thing where the penis has to be flaccid in certain things, otherwise it's X-rated instead of R-rated. And it's like, that I understand, I get it, because who signed up to look at somebody's but you know what I mean, like, it's just the double standards always.
I'm gonna be honest, I feel like probably most people would at least most people who are attracted to guys probably would like it better if it wasn't flaccid.
Of course, but then it's like, oh, what did I sign up for? Did I walk into this movie knowing that I was going to see that? Yeah, because sometimes, like, where does it cross the line where it becomes just absolute, you've been flashed? It's like, did you know you were going to be flashed? Not everybody looks up what is going to be in a movie, you know, those sites that break it down for you and warn you ahead of time. Oh, this one has swearing, this one has an erect penis. Like, it's gonna be a hard pass for a lot of people, but yeah, as long as people know what they're signing up for and know what they're getting into.
But, you know, when
Take
I
the
was
shame
younger,
away.
my dad would always make us, before watching any film, we had to look at this website called the Bishop's Movie Review.
Yeah,
which is a Catholic site that tells you all these things that are in it, and like, if I was looking at it, what I would do is always just scroll right to the bottom, so I would get just the things that I need to know for whether it's appropriate for me to watch.
Yeah.
Dad though, if he was in the room when someone was looking at it up, he insisted we have to look at every single inch of the review, so we'd get everything spoiled from the film. I'm like, oh my god, like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it should be just a simple, like, acronym warning or something, or like with that little warning that comes up on streaming services when it's like, this will have strobe lights or flashing lights, so be careful, this one will have a penis.
I think that they're like things like trigger warnings. I think there should be, like, when you click on a title, or whether this is streaming service or like, if you're going to a movie theater, they should be willing to give you a pamphlet, and that if you want, you can and click or get a pamphlet that tells you all of the possible trigger warnings that are in it.
Yeah,
but you don't have to take that if you don't want.
Yeah,
and I think that I think a lot of the people who are against trigger warnings can't they can't understand that some people, they do want those things so they can actually they know whether this is a film that they're going to be able to actually sit through without it being a problem.
100%.
And I literally once argued with someone. It's I'm not saying you need to see a trigger warning, but I would like to, because there are things that trigger me in films, like the flashing lights thing. It's one that it bothers my eyes a lot.
There you go.
Since I've heard that there are people who it's so bad for them that they've been hospitalized. That's something that I want to be careful with.
100%.
And then also there was a movie that I went to see with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Missing, I think, and we went to this the screening before the film actually came out. It was an advanced screening, and it kind of while I did like the film, it kind of pissed me off afterward that we didn't know going into it what we were getting into, because this film its twist has to do with an abusive partner in a relationship, as he's both a partner to his wife and to his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
like my mom let me know afterward that she had a panic attack driving home from the theater because of what she saw in the film. I want that if I'm going to show a film to my mom, I want to be able to know that she's going to be safe watching it and
Yeah,
not have a panic attack. Because I don't want her to have things like that.
of course. Yeah. And there's
But
a
yeah,
lot of
but
people
people
out
who
there that have that same kind of trigger response of panic or anxiety when it comes to nudity. And I
yeah,
think that's why you don't see it as
yeah, I
much
think
in
like
just anything, right?
things should. I think we should be able to have things like that in films, but we should have like good warnings. And I'm gonna be honest, the rating system are pretty shit warnings
Yeah.
in this day and age because they feel so meaningless.
Yeah,
Just to
they
be
gotta
honest.
specify. Like I feel like they need to diversify the
Oh yeah,
rating system. Yeah.
they feel so meaningless and like they don't they there have been many times where I've watched a film that is not R rated, and then there are things in it that, according to what I've read, are supposed to be R rated, and it's like,
Yeah.
but like when you think, yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think all of those things have to be R rated, but I do think that your rating system, if you're going to have have things in a rating system, you should follow it for and not have that something is in a film that is said that it's not allowed to be in that kind of film because then that just makes it meaningless. As I would rather just like have sign that I can click away to look at and it just explains in a little bit of detail exactly the possible triggers in a film, including stuff like nudity,
Yeah.
just so that I'm able to know exactly what I'm getting into in advance instead of just reading a label like R or reading a
Yeah.
label like PG-13.
Yeah, because sometimes all R means for some people is, oh, this is going to be extremely gory and violent. They don't think about all the other
And
context or
the thing
content
is
that they're
as
going to review.
well, I've seen films that feel like they would be R-rated in terms of violence, and they were PG-13.
Yeah.
I've seen films that even though the rules are that there are that you can only have one F word in a PG-13 film, they've had multiple F words. I've seen films that have had R-rated nudity in them, even though it was a PG-13 film. And it was just like when you have things like that, what's the point of the rating system?
Yeah. Yeah. It does seem very flawed. They could
Uh,
work on
like
that. Work on that, Hollywood.
like
I guess it's the FCC.
Asteroid City is PG-13. It has full frontal nudity.
Wow. I didn't realize it was PG-13.
Yeah, it's like what the hell?
Huh.
How is
Well,
that? How are you just saying that? How did he get it away with that? Oh,
because nobody saw Asteroid City, John. That's how. You and I are the only ones that have ever seen that movie. They're like,
oh
it'll be
man,
fine. It's a
yeah,
Wes Anderson movie, and it's not even one with Owen Wilson.
oh man, that's just like I think I think things should be allowed to be in films, but there absolutely should be trigger warnings, because we don't want to cause people panic attacks or even worse, like going to the hospital because of flashing lights.
Yeah,
Like, oh my
exactly.
god.
Or flashing dicks.
Oh man. Oh, that thing.
Hell of a zombie movie.
Oh yeah,
Hell of
definitely.
a zombie movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious.
I'm sorry I
No,
went
it's
so
okay.
much into that rant. I was just like, since there is a lot of nudity in this film, I thought that would kind of be a little bit fitting into
100%.
for this film, because like I don't see the nudity that's in this film as being a problem. I'm like I like the fact that half the film there's a character who is just nude the whole time. Like I'm as someone who's attracted to women, yeah, I like that.
It's like, didn't she have to run away from where her clothes are on the ground? And she like nearly goes back for them, and she's like, "Oh shit, I can't."
Yeah, she grabs one piece and then it gets caught on a tombstone. She has to drop it.
Of course.
But the thing is, I'm pretty sure that the actress who plays her, she's I think this is a situation where she was absolutely comfortable with it. She 100%. She gets naked in most films that she's in, to be honest. So and she actually met her husband and filming a scene where she was naked.
Really? That's awesome.
So the film Night of the Demons, there is this very wild scene where this demon lady played by her takes her top off and has a crayon that she shoves into her breast. And the makeup person who created the practical effect of her breast being able to open up to have a crayon being shoved into it, she ended up marrying him.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that she's very fine with things like this.
Yeah. Well, see, there you go. A true love story in the making.
Probably the most wild true love story you've ever heard. But yeah.
I'm amazed, and I know for fact I have not seen any of the sequels to this one. Mm-hmm. Out of all the zombie stuff that I try to get my hands on and check out, I've never seen a series of movies. How many are there?
I think there's like 4 of them or something. I'm not sure. So having watched this film, does it make you want to watch the rest?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I want to see how much sillier they can get, because that is I wonder. Part of me wonders if they probably
get more. I expect they probably get a lot sillier, just because I've noticed a lot of silly films don't get good ratings, and the rest of the films don't have as high of a rating as this one has.
Fair. Oh, there are 3.
I actually like. I've noticed that I like a lot of films that have very low ratings. It's always interesting because it makes me wonder: do I just have really bad taste, or am I just very weird in my taste in films? Because I there are a lot of films I've watched where they have like 3 or 4 on IMDb, and I love them. I'm like they're. Maybe it may just be that I just have massively different taste from most people.
Do you know what it is? You're punk. You are counterculture, my friend. You don't want to see the boring crap everybody else is watching on NBC or Fox. You want to see the weird stuff.
Reminds me of earlier this year. Everybody and their mother shit all over Madam Web. But I went to go see it, and I was like, "This seems fine. This is I had fun. It wasn't something amazing, but I was like,
right.
This is not the worst film in the world, like you guys are saying it is." I've seen some pretty bad films in my day.
People just enjoy crapping on stuff sometimes, a little too much. Yeah. They just enjoy shitting all over.
And then people said this is worse than Morbius. I'm like, you guys seriously think that this is worse than Jared Leto? I'm sorry, but I cannot get with that opinion.
The idea
I don't like Jared Leto at all.
Of course. No, the guy's a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
The guy gave Margot Robbie a dead rat because he thought the Joker would do it. And it's like, dude, that's really desperate of you.
This guy quite literally has a cult.
Yeah,
he has a cult. He has, and it hasn't. Well, yes, it hasn't been confirmed in court, but there are a lot of rumors in Hollywood that he's a pedophile, and it's like,
Ah,
and I'm like, like the fact that he hasn't taken anybody in Hollywood to court over these claims kind of tells me that there might be some truth to them because wouldn't that if like James Gunn has accused him of being a pedophile. Like, wouldn't that be
damn.
considered um like hurting his reputation or something? So if it's not true, you would think he would take him to court for libel
Defamation. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just defamation like but the fact that he doesn't kind of tells me there might be something to that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And
Like for some reason he keeps getting roles in Hollywood.
yeah, I don't get it.
It kind of
I don't even.
seems it's so weird to me. Some people seem to be able to go on in Hollywood even though everybody knows they're a piece of shit. Like like the director David O. Russell is
Yeah,
awful, but
yeah.
somehow he keeps
Fuck that
getting
guy.
getting filmed. I'm like, how?
Yeah, why is
What do you have on these studio executives that they're willing to keep giving you films, even though even though like what I've read about him off of his Wikipedia page, he is an absolute menace to society.
yeah, yeah, you don't call an absolute national treasure like Lily Tomlin a cunt, unless you're an absolute bag of shit. And that is what he did on the set of I Heart Huckabees, and I hate him for it.
He's punched people on sets. He assaulted someone at an Oscars party. I'm pretty sure it was like either this year or last year. And the person who he assaulted got really angry until they realized it was him and just laughed and walked away.
They
I'm
were like,
like,
"Oh, he's just up to his old
what?
shenanigans,
How are you?
his
How?
old tricks." Yeah, because it's David O. Russell, man.
Anyone else, if they and this was a studio executive that he assaulted. If anyone else did that, they would be in jail so quick.
Celebrities are
Like,
untouchable,
what the
man.
hell?
Will Smith assaulted Chris Rock in front of everybody, and yet they still made another Bad Boys movie. He might not make a fifth
Yeah,
Bad Boys movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if they've already started shooting.
really honest. I like that's Saya, but I like that's not a big
Fame.
deal to me. He's a big deal to me. It's just it was just a slap. There's so much like it's not great, but there are so much worse things happening in
Yes.
Hollywood that I'm just like I don't care about that. I really don't, and I think that certain people really like to milk that situation for and it's like why like can't you just move on? To be honest, this
I,
was like 3 years ago or something.
if that if that didn't happen, I would still probably entertain episodes of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I would still probably watch that show if it was just on. You know what I mean? Because I grew up watching it, loved it. But then that happened, and ever since I've been like, eh, I can pass.
Like,
I don't need to see it. Even though I
like
love Uncle Phil, I love everybody else on the show. I can catch it
I'm
next
just
year.
like yeah, he's like it was just a slap. There's so much worse things that have happened, but people
Yeah.
only care about that one because it was televised.
At least he apologized.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
going a far
Like
cry further than David O. Russell, that's for
if
sure.
like nobody would have cared about it if it hadn't been televised on national television.
Yeah.
And it's like what there are people who care more about that than like trying to deplatform like actual pedophiles or something.
Yeah.
Like you should. I feel like that like people should care more about the actual big problems in Hollywood.
Agreed.
Now,
100%.
I'm rambling.
I don't think he deserves jail time for it or anything. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as basically the fact that he did it so publicly and did it on such a huge ratings night for everybody's eyes to be on. To me, it felt more like an ego trip in his head that he needed to be seen doing this, or he wasn't able to control himself even with the world's eyes on it. I was just like,
I think
I lost a little respect.
me. I thought it was the culmination of years of very sexist, misogynistic jokes from Chris Rock that were directed at him and his wife that he was just like, I have had enough.
Oh, I didn't even know that Chris Rock had made him.
There have been apparently for decades Chris Rock had been making a bunch of fucked up jokes or him and his wife. So to me, I felt like it was him just being like, I've had enough. Like, you're not gonna stop until I do something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. But yeah, and then like Chris Rock, kind of like, I kind of feel like he milked it for like the next couple of years, making it be part of his comedy material. Oh, and like, just get over it, man. It's not that big of a deal. Like there are much worse things that have happened. You're not traumatized from that.
Well, if he's making jokes about being traumatized, I'm very surprised.
Which,
I thought it was the idea that comedians are going to talk about the big things that happen in their lives. Good comedians talk about things that actually happen to them instead of having to make up shit. And that's that was probably a pretty big event for him.
It's probably the best thing that happened to his career in like 20 years.
Will Smith should slap more people.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm really being honest. He was fading into obscurity before this happened, and now now
they're making Madagascar 4.
Now he became the first person to have a live comedy show on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it actually helped his career.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'll lay off the. I know this is a society that's very a polarizing subject.
It's a sticky one. Yeah.
Well, is there any final thing you'd like to say before I end off this episode?
This was a blast. I did not expect this movie to make me laugh as much as it did, and I gotta say, Frank is the GOAT of this movie. Way to self what would you call that? Self-select and just burn yourself in a fucking oven instead of become a monster and potentially go be the monster that eats your wife. Like, you don't know if that's gonna happen.
I thought it was a really great callback to him mentioning that he has a wife when he takes off his wedding ring. I thought that was like a kind of beautiful little moment.
Yeah, the foreshadowing in this movie is so sneaky. Like, you don't expect when he says that offhand comment of like, oh, anybody can operate one of those. I didn't think about that comment at all until it actually happened at the end. I was like, fucking brilliant. That was pretty damn good.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for listening. And if you like this gamma analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I love to hear your thoughts on the episodes. Please let me know. If you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more gamma analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.